All right, now I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of what makes the difference between a good discussion question and a bad one. Good discussion questions I can really talk about. I could argue. I could disagree with someone or have a different opinion about them. But bad discussion questions, the answer is obvious or it's an unclear question. For our next step, we're going to break down the actual levels of questions. And these will help give us more information about what makes a good discussion question and a bad one. So for this part of our notes, I'm going to create a tree map to describe the different types of questions. Most of the tree map is already created for me. I just need to create the organization. So I would start out with my title and say different types of questions. This is going to be my trunk. Now I'm going to break it down into 6 different types of questions. Our first type of question is a knowledge question. So I label that heading. In a knowledge question, you're able to recall facts, terms, basic concepts, and answers. So these are our questions like who, what, why, when, where, which, name, define, show, and list. And you may see frames like what is, who was, who are the main, where is, and can you list. These aren't the only suggestions, but a knowledge question basically just says, do you know this? When I think about whether or not that would be a good discussion question, I would say this probably isn't. When I talk about good discussion questions, you have to be able to debate. And all of these frames, who is, who was, those are all factual. Even here it says, able to recall facts and answers. I think that this is more like math questions and who is the main character type questions. I can't debate those. While these are good questions to test our knowledge, they're not good discussion questions. In our next section, we have comprehension questions, and this is a level higher than a knowledge question. In a comprehension question, we demonstrate and understand facts by organizing, comparing, interpreting, and stating the main idea. So here's where we compare and contrast, we infer, we outline, summarize, relate, and explain. So unlike knowledge, which is just recalling facts, comprehension, we have to really understand what we've been doing. So here's our frames. What is the main idea of? Put it in your own words. What can you say about? What statements support? What does blank mean? And how would you compare? Again, the answers are like obvious, but I have to think about them before I can get to them. There's still only one correct answer though, and people couldn't really disagree with me. That makes these good questions, but not good discussion questions. Our next level of question is application. In application questions, we solve problems to new situations by applying new knowledge and facts in different ways. So in this case, we would be developing, modeling, organizing, identifying, building, applying, and solving. Here's some sample frames. How would you use blank? What would happen if blank? What other way would you plan to blank? How would you organize blank to show? And what examples can you find to blank? This sounds like these might be good discussion questions, because especially this one, how would you use or what would happen if? I could really disagree with someone between these in these questions. So these, I think, are good discussion questions, application questions. Next up, we have analysis questions. I know that my teacher has talked to me about analyzing before, and it's a pretty tough skill. So already I think this is probably something that's going to be good discussion questions. So I see, examine and break information into parts to make inferences based on evidences. We haven't talked about the word inference before, but it's essentially an educated guess. You're figuring out information based on what you already know and evidence from the text. In these questions, we might be dividing, not like math, but figuring out in English, comparing, inferring, looking for theme, drawing a conclusion, discovering, looking at the motive, or dissecting. Here's some examples. Why do you think? Ooh, that always makes a good discussion question. Why do you think this? Why do you think that? People definitely argue. How is blank related to blank? What inferences can you make about blank? What conclusions can you draw blank? And what is the relationship between blank and blank? Again, I think that this would make a good discussion question. Next, we have evaluation questions. In evaluation questions, we present and defend opinions by making judgments about information or ideas based on information given. So this is defending opinions. I saw that in my double bubble map. Already, I know these are going to make great discussion questions. So here we say choose, judge, decide, opinion, perceive, prove, explain, agree, conclude, and determine. All really great verbs. Some of our frames could be, do you agree with the actions blank? How would you justify blank? Why did the character choose blank? Would it be better if blank? What choice would you have made? And what would you recommend? All of these would make great discussion questions. Our last level and the highest level of question is called synthesis. Synthesis is all about bringing things together. So we see here it even says, bring information together in a new way by combining knowledge in a new way. There's so much here that's going on that's new. I have a feeling these are going to be good discussion questions. Here we see plan, change, solve, design, propose, happen, develop, predict, imagine, and create. Those are our key words to help us here. And then our frames, what change would you make to solve blank? How would you improve blank? Can you propose an alternative blank? And can you predict the outcome of blank? So it looks like each of these questions gets harder and harder and harder, and that the real difference between a good discussion question and a bad discussion question happens right on this line between comprehension and application. While knowledge and comprehension questions are good questions to test our knowledge, they don't provide an opportunity for good discussion. Good discussion happens at application, analysis, evaluation, and synthesis. When you're ready to move on and you have annotated our notes, go ahead and continue to the next page. In this next section, I'm being asked to determine the level of the following questions. I'll do the first few with you, and then you'll do some on your own. So we start off with, what is the main character in the story? That's probably supposed to say, who is the main character in the story? I'm going to reference my guide to help me out with these questions. You can flip back and forth as needed. All right, so we start off with this question. Now I reference my guide, and I'm looking for, already I know, okay, who is the main character of the story? That's going to be either a knowledge or comprehension question, because I can't argue with this. So now I just need to decide, who was the main character? Well, I think that's just a pretty simple knowledge question. You know it or you don't. So I'm going to circle knowledge, and then I would say, this is knowledge because you either know it or you don't. Our next question is, why does Grayson let Maniac live with him? Why does he do something? Well, this is not going to be a knowledge or a comprehension because it's asking me a why question, and I don't think that why questions are really like questions you can just straight up look up, especially not in this case where the answer wasn't in the book. So now I need to think about if it's synthesis, analysis, evaluation, or application. Let me think how I could do that. Well, I definitely think like in this case, they're asking me a why do you think, or why did Grayson do this? And I see that there's a question asking you for analysis. Why do you think, or why does he do this? I think that this is an analysis question because it's asking me to analyze why something happened. So this is analysis because it asks me to find out, I'm going to say why something happened. Next up is the question, is it a good idea to live forever? Whew, you could definitely have a debate about this question. So already I know it is not a knowledge or a comprehension question. Let me think now. Which level is it? application, analysis, evaluation, or synthesis? Is it a good idea to live forever? Well, I don't see a frame that specifically says, is it a good idea to do this, or is it a good idea to do that? But I definitely see some possible options for being able to debate this. And I think that this is probably going to be, what do you think? Do you think it could be analysis? Could it be evaluation? What do you think? Is it a good idea to live forever? I think that because this is asking me a question about what I think this is analysis, because I'm going to have to support it with evidence. So I would say that this is analysis. Now it's your turn. Why is this an analysis question? Please share how you know. Question number 4. How could Maniac have handled his conflict with Snickers differently? Well, this answer is definitely not in the text, so I know it's not knowledge or comprehension. What type of question is it? How could Maniac have handled his conflict differently? Here I see a lot of different frames that I might be able to use. I do see a frame that would really help me if I was able to find enough evidence to support my opinion. And that's the frame here. And it says, what choice would you have made, or what, actually, you know what, I don't think it's that. I think this is a little bit more, what change would you have made to solve blank? Because that question is asking us about how to solve that problem, an alternate ending in essence. So I would say that this is a synthesis question. Please circle synthesis. I want to make sure that you're keeping up and really using your brain, not just copying what I write. So I walked you through it. Oops, we're on this one. I walked you through it. Now tell us, how did we know that this was a synthesis question? So you can start off your frame. This is blank because blank. So tell me why it's synthesis. I said this is synthesis because it asks us what changes we would make to solve a situation. We're bringing our knowledge together in a new way. Number 5. Who does more for Maniac, Grayson or the Beals? Ooh, this question is definitely asking me about my opinion, and I could certainly get in an argument about this. So again, I know it's not knowledge or comprehension. Now I need to use my chart to decide if this question is synthesis, analysis, evaluation, or application. Go ahead and complete this one on your own. Make sure that you explain, starting with the frame, this is blank because blank. Tell me what type of question and justify your answer. Now you're ready for the 6th one. What year does the story take place? Well, that I think I could figure out just from the text. So it's not going to be a good discussion question. So it's not synthesis, analysis, evaluation, or application. Now I just need to find out if it is knowledge or comprehension. Go ahead and look through this and see if you can figure out what type of question it is. This is blank because blank. Make sure you've completed this entire page, and when you're ready, resume the video.